Martin says, hello, everyone. And Pamela says, hello, Martin. I just want to let you know that I'm subbing for Melanie today, and I have assigned the captionist. So she's ready to go, and the interpreters are ready to go. And I've kind of explained the process that you will call on people. Am I spotlighting or? And Martin says, we'll just actually do full screen. So you have the interpreters. So the interpreters will be off and on, and then we'll know it's time to change.
So the interpreters were just we're hoping to both stay on for the whole time so that we could divide it depending on the person and the modality and so forth. I just wondered if that was a possibility. And Martin is saying, yeah, I understand that it's kind of hard when it's small. And Michelle is kind of explaining the dynamics. And Pamela is saying that also we've received feedback from the interpreters previously that it helps to have the chat to provide support and feedback during the interpreting process. So, and I know that sometimes the chat option hasn't worked or hasn't been available.
And Martin says, just whoever has the chat on is the host is the one who turns the chat on or off. So.
Okay, Pam says, okay. Okay, the chat should be on then. Okay, if you need anything, let me know.
Martin, just to let you know, Sarah texted me. I don't know if she'll be here in time to join us tonight. She was traveling back from Green River, and so she wasn't sure if she would actually arrive in town in time. She will join us if she gets back soon enough. If not, then she'll catch up tomorrow.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thanks, Eric. Just pulling up my agenda here, Martin says. All right, I've got my agenda here.
So we have a technical question. I'm just going to be muting and we'll be signing correct to all of the comments. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, Pamela, that I would be doing audience signing for the questions. For the recording, excuse me.
All right, I see we have 12 total participants and minus our 2 interpreters. That means we've got 10 of our committee members here. So I think that's a good number to get started with. So good evening, everyone. I don't know if your Wednesday is like mine, but there are too many things happening today for my own liking. Justin, go ahead.
Chip, you need a quorum of voting members in order to start. I don't think you have enough voting members, but I could be wrong.
I see. That's why we have the roll call, so we'll do that.
Okay.
Hello, Sharon and Joe. Do you mind turning your cameras off? And then we will just have our 4 people on the screen, including our interpreters. And Eric, you're welcome to stay on, or Eric, you can go off either way. Joe, looks like you figured out the stop video. Great. Okay, you got it, Joe. Thank you. Well, welcome to our September monthly advisory council for the Division of the Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I'd like to welcome everyone, and I'd like to know if we have enough for a quorum. I think we do, and I will take a bet with Justin that we've got a quorum. We'll see here. Hello, Jim. Welcome.
Hi there. So I am late. I was having trouble finding the link.
It's not a problem at all. So it happens to the best of us. And Jim, if you wouldn't mind stopping your video on the bottom left, you'll be able to turn off your video. This technology takes some time to get used to, I understand. So you can stop your video on the bottom left, and that way we'll just have those that need to be on the screen can be on the screen. I'm going to go ahead with roll call for attendance. Melanie is not here this evening, and Pamela is filling in for her. Pamela, if you don't mind, go ahead and taking attendance for us, please.
I'm sure. I'm just wondering about the list that I'll need to go by. Let's see.
Martin says it's on your website.
What was that? Oh.
And Martin says, let me see if I have a list here.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can find it.
Pamela, do you have a count there? We just need it's obvious that I'm here. Katie Green is here.
Yeah.
Is she here? Katie Green, are you here? And if you just open up your camera and say hello, Katie.
Okay, yeah, I saw her in the chat. Let's see.
Katie, are you there? Can you turn on your camera if you're there?
John Galley is here.
Let's first of all go with Katie. Is Katie here? Katie Green?
Yes. Yes, Katie is here.
And again, if you can just turn on your camera as your name is called so that we can have a name with the face, please. And Cody, you're not Katie Green.
And Cody says, oops, sorry.
Katie, do you know how to start your video if you're there?
Looks like it's off.
Here, sorry, it's Katie. I'm just having technical difficulties.
Oh, gotcha.
That's fine. No, as long as we can hear you, that's great. We're good. Thanks, Katie.
Pam is asking if she should turn her camera off.
Next, we have Jim Helfrich. Pardon the interpreter for mispronunciation. Don't be camera shy. Go ahead and we saw you before, Joe, but go ahead and put your camera on so we can see you. I know Joe is here. He was just here a few minutes ago. There you are.
Ta-da. You know, can you hear me? Okay.
How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful.
Did you want me to, did you have any questions for me before we get started, or it's just the roll call?
Yep, just the roll call.
Okay.
Just want to make sure everyone's here and that we have enough for a quorum for voting purposes.
Okay.
So, and I think I need to win my bet with Justin, see if I have enough for a quorum or not.
Okay, I'm going to sign off, but I do have a question for later on.
Sure, we'll be happy to hear that, Joe. Thank you. Later on. Jim Bernardino, can you turn on your camera? And this is great practice with technology, on and off. So, Jim, how are you?
Okay. Doing fine. I can see me. Can you see me?
Yes, Jim, we can see you just fine. Thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
joining us today.
Yeah.
Next, we have Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Sharon, so much. Next, we have Kim Lucas.
Hi, I'm here.
Welcome, Kim. Thank you. We have Cody Simonson.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I'm here.
Not a problem. So as long as you're here, better late than never. You're great.
Great.
Brad Jones.
Hello there.
Welcome, Brad.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chip Royce.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Chip.
I'm not driving. I'm pulled over, just so you're not too worried about me.
Thanks, Chip. I don't know if John is here. I don't see him. John Galley, are you here? I don't think John is here with us yet. We have some special guests with us as well. We have Justin. Justin was the past chair of the advisory council. And welcome. So Justin, I've got a tough question for you. Did we meet the quorum?
Yes, we have.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm grateful you're a temporary parliamentarian for us tonight, so thank you. Thanks, Justin. Okay, I hope everyone has able to read the minutes from our last meeting. And we're looking for a motion to approve those minutes, if anyone would care to do so.
Kim says, I move to approve the minutes as read.
Thank you, Kim. Any second on that motion?
Brad Jones seconds.
Thank you, Brad. Any objections? Please come up. Hearing no objection, the minutes are approved. And thank you, everyone. And again, we want to welcome all of you, and we want to welcome Mr. Eric Rue, who is the interim director for the Deaf Center. And he has an update for us on our strategic plan. Eric, we'll turn the time over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have a little echo? Somebody's got their mic on, I think. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have a lot of different elements that are all moving at once. So I'm going to give you the highlights in a couple of key areas. And I also just reported out our annual numbers for our legislative update. And I can send you a copy of those numbers as well if you'd like to see them. There are a couple of exciting elements to that, one of which is over the last year, we actually served about 750 more individuals despite COVID than the year before. So we are slowly trending in the right way. It was about a 19% increase in unique in unique individuals, which is a more accurate number than the old numbers that we used to keep. So that's helpful to us. In addition, we certified our first CDI, and we are looking to hire an additional CDI in our UIP program. So those things are good. We also just posted for our first communications assessment specialist. So that will give us new capabilities to help, especially populations like the refugee population that has a lot of individuals who do not sign and also don't speak English. We are also hiring right now for a hard of hearing supervisor. I'm still getting a lot of echo from somebody's, I think John's iPhone. Okay, it's still going. Internally, we are currently finalizing a redraft. Sorry, Martin.
He was just asking Pamela to get co-host, and that way he can maybe help monitor the muting there.
Okay. Yes, please mute John's iPhone. Okay. Internally, we are finalizing a complete redraft of the DSDHH policy manual. That could have a lot of profound effects in terms of cleaning up our policy, making it clear. That will be finished very soon, like in the next week or so. And then we will publish that for public comment. And that'll be something that you'll all get to see before it becomes finalized, taking input, of course. And so there may be additional revisions, but it's almost ready for public input, which is exciting. We are now at the second half of September, so I'm conducting annual reviews of all staff at the center. That's an important thing that we need to do. And the follow-up to that is we're creating new performance standards for all staff at the center, which will go into effect in October. So those are two big steps. In addition to that, I'm now working with our state trainers to develop fully accessible ASL training in the areas of management and leadership, diversity and inclusion, and customer service, because all of those need to be presented in a way that's accessible for all staff. That's a hurdle that in the past DWS tried to meet by just doing closed captioning on existing training, but they now understand that that's not sufficient. So we're revising everything to make it fully accessible. Let's see here. I'm also meeting with Jared Mendenhall, who is the head of our, I've got John's iPhone, I think. Sorry about this. It's I'm hearing my own voice loop right back at me. We're developing a new media strategy to allow us to do outreach and communicate with everyone more effectively, especially using new media that younger generations tend to utilize more. Email blasts are a start, and the website is a start, but there's so many new technologies and ways to reach the population that we've got to bring those skills in-house, and we have to make sure that our staff have training and an understanding of how to use that. In addition, we will be performing training on professional communication standards for all of our different media that we're going to be using. So that's some of the basics. In addition to that, for youth outreach, we have renewed our partnership with USDB. We have several collaborative efforts that we're planning now. One of the most immediate and exciting is we're going to do a youth Halloween party for the USDB students. We're focusing on the youth because we know that the UAB has a Halloween party on the 30th, and we don't want to do anything that directly conflicts with that. So hopefully this will complement it and give the kids something, and then the larger community can have the big event of the USDB. We are also now looking to implement a game night for youth who want to come and play things like board games and have social activities in the gymnasium once to twice a month. So that will that'll partner with both USDB and students that are in the public school systems. We also have a new sports committee whose job is to make sure that we have not just equipment, but that we have opportunities for not just youth, but the larger community to come in and engage in all kinds of activities, including doing a training on how to play pickleball and the equipment so that we can do pickleball tournaments over the winter and let people be active. And I hear pickleball is exciting. I've never played it. Addition to that, just an update, we are continuing to expand our services, especially to the deafblind community, but also looking at all of our underserved communities. We have Chris Wakeland, who previously was at Sorensen, who now works as a liaison between DHH and BVI, but he is going around the state and is trying to help us coordinate services in a variety of ways. He's fairly new to the job, just like I am, so he's sort of developing all of the things new, but we're very excited about his energy and enthusiasm and his historic knowledge about some of these areas. We are moving forward with creating different committees. We're sort of scoping out all of the different opportunities we have to have community input into more of our decisions internally. We are also reviewing areas. This is something that we want to bring up today in terms of our subcommittee discussion, but the idea that we need to review other areas of our underserved population. In reviewing the focus group study that we conducted there, that was conducted by Innovi last year, one of the things that was identified is we don't have enough multilingual interpreters, and we also need services and representation from other like minority communities. We are doing some new things with refugee services, but we need to expand, for instance, to the Hispanic and Latinx communities, where there's a large number of people who are often cut off from services and underrepresented, and don't feel like anyone's reaching out to them. So those are all things we're aware of, and it's one of the things I'm gonna hopefully bring up in terms of something we can discuss here. Additionally, and I'm almost done, Martin, let's see here. We are finalizing guidelines for all of our part-time class instructors to help clarify and standardize both how they need to function internally and our expectations for quality service delivery for anyone who takes their classes. So that's something that'll be coming out soon. And we have, I believe, updated you that one of our first initiatives was to create a pathway for customers to leave feedback, concerns, maybe compliments for any kind of service that they get through the center that they need to comment on. We are trying to get that integrated into the website so that people can leave both anonymous comments as well as reach out and schedule a private, confidential meeting where they can bring an advocate off-site. But in addition to that, now we've had it pointed out to us, rightly so, that we need to utilize an option for people to leave a video comment. So we apparently have a video number that has been unused somewhere that we can already access. So we're looking for a way to technically integrate that, so that can be part of the feature and one of the options people have if they'd like to sign their complaint or concern to the website as well. So that's my update for all of the new stuff since the last time we talked. There's more stuff, but that's what I can think of off the top of my head.
Thank you. You guys have been very busy. This is Martin. So I can see you're getting through your list there. So any questions for Eric? This is a great time to ask any questions about his update or anything else you have.
Kim has something. So Eric, did you receive my email that I just recently sent you? I just wanted to make sure, because I noticed that, I wanted to just make sure that it was received by you.
Yes, I did. It was I
Okay.
Meant to respond to you today. I got very busy, but it is absolutely my intent to respond to you by tomorrow.
Not a problem
Sorry
at
for the
all.
delay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kim. Anyone else? Any questions for Eric? Anything else? I do have a question. This is Martin. How is the hard of hearing specialist position going? Any bites yet on that? Interviews or applications?
Yes, we posted it originally and we interviewed 4 individuals. To be candid, none of them had the experience working with the hard of hearing community, or they either had some experience there or they had management experience. Nobody had both. We reposted it, we advertised it a little wider. We now, I believe, have some much more promising candidates. So we're going to be doing interviews, I believe, in about a week and a half. And I'm much more optimistic because looking at the resumes, I now see people who come from the community, understand issues in the community, and also have had some leadership and administrative experience. So we're looking much better for that position now.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else have questions for Eric? Someone told me a while ago, they said, wow, this is a very intelligent audience that doesn't ask questions, right? I'm just teasing. I'm sure they have questions. Members, if you have an opportunity, if you don't think of one now, you're welcome to email Eric anytime, stop by his office. So he's happy to see you in person, discuss and hear your questions or concerns and whatever you might have. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate all of your hard work and all that you've been doing thus far. So thank you.
And Eric says thank you.
All right, Eric, thank you. Next on our agenda is the formulation of some committees. Eric mentioned a little bit about this. He talked about having subcommittees established, and really you can't have a subcommittee unless you actually have a committee to begin with. So that's what we're going to start with, is some committees. At our last executive session, myself, Eric, Sarah, the interpreter was there. I think that's the executive, and Justin was there as well, helping out, giving his perspective on being the past chair. We previously talked about 3 committees. The purpose of these committees would be able to help the advisory council feel involved and being effective and being able to advise the Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing about what the needs are from the community. And at the same time, to be able to increase the quality of life for all deaf and hard of hearing Utahns. So I'm just going to throw out some ideas and names of these committees. So bylaws, I think it needs some revision and some reduction of the vagueness of it. Sometimes we are trying to figure out and interpret what that means from those bylaws. Maybe an activities committee or an events committee where the advisory council could help community members be involved, sharing their ideas for what activities and events are needed. So that was one example. And then a service review committee. A service review committee would maybe be providing evaluative services. Are some services still effective, or do they need to be revamped? Is there need some improvements within the services that are provided to the community? And some services that we are providing, are they still a need? So maybe we need to update or upgrade, and maybe other services are more of a priority need. So those were the first initial committees that we had discussed. Any other ideas that you would like to have from the committee, or other committee names or committees that you think that should have a focus? John, I see that you have a comment. Go ahead and turn on your camera.
Hi. Well, I just had two questions. I saw that you were explaining about the bylaws, but um, what happened to the minutes from the last meeting? I mean, the bylaws were sent out to everyone, but I haven't seen an email with that information of the bylaws. Um, and also, sorry, the interpreters.
Larry Lee was one of the community members as well, who I think was going to be doing something with the bylaws there as well. So I think that there was just wondering what the options were with the bylaws and if there's still progress happening with that. And this is Martin. Thanks, John, for that question. Last week, I mean last month, it feels like a week ago, but last month we did talk briefly about the bylaws, and I am surprised that not all of you did receive a copy. I will make sure with Melanie's help to make sure that everyone does receive a copy of those bylaws. The second item, I did ask for some volunteers for anybody who wanted to serve as a chair or a member of the bylaws committee, and that was last month. I haven't received any responses from anyone, so that offer still is on the table. If anyone is interested, we'd be happy to have you. John, if you're interested in helping with that. John, did you have a follow-up comment? Does that answer your question?
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about the bylaws. And then I was wondering, oops, we lost him. Something, it takes a long time. So I've missed some of the information because of the interpretation. I'm sorry, the interpreter missed that. So
with the refugees, he's asking about the refugees. Can you explain again about the refugees and what is needed with that? So that part was not clear to me about what is needed. Can you explain about what's happening with the refugee population? And Martin's asking, Eric, do you mind rephrasing again what you mean with serving those refugee populations?
Sure. So as we are working with a sister division, the Office of Refugee Services, we are starting to see people come in from other countries. For instance, we're about to get a big influx in from Afghanistan. And some of those individuals are deaf and hard of hearing, but they grew up without speaking English, sometimes not speaking their own native language, and they also were never given the opportunity to learn ASL. So one of the things that a communication assessor can do in coordination with our case managers and our CDIs is actually provide a lot of extended services to assist someone like that get established, developed, and supported. We lacked the personnel or the specialty knowledge to do that before, but with the addition of the CDI and the communications assessor, it opens up a whole nother realm for us in order to be able to effectively help those individuals. So that's just one example. The assessor actually can work with a whole variety of individuals who come from different backgrounds, who have different communication challenges. That just happens to be one, because we just had two instances where individuals came in with no functional ability to communicate outside of their family. And so this gives us the tools we need to start to help those people and to partner really well with refugee services, which is one aspect of serving the underserved populations. There's more, but that just happened to be one of the more, I guess, immediate ones that came to mind.
Thanks, Eric, for clarifying that, and I'm giving some more additional information. Eric has typed in the chat his email address as well. So I just wanted, I'm going to put it out there for the captionist as well. It's E as in Echo, R as in Romeo, OUX at utah.gov. Again, that's EROUX at utah.gov. And Chip had a question as well, or a comment. Go ahead, Chip.
Hello there. So I'm happy to serve on any of those committees mentioned. Also, I'm just wondering in relation to our vision statement, do we have a committee that is going to be gathering input and ideas as to how to tactically start and get things rolling? I'd just like to talk about that.
Thanks, Chip. I'm happy that you brought that up. It does state in the bylaws, I think it's 6.4, that it does call for an executive committee to develop an outline of what the expectations are for that committee and what kind of information we want to hear from that committee. So the executive committee will meet again in 2 weeks to kind of just discuss what and develop that outline of what is needed for each of the committees that were mentioned. So once we have that, then maybe we'll have more direction. Does that answer your question, Chip?
That's great. And like I said, I'm willing to serve in any capacity that there's a need.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chip. Any other questions or concerns or comments related with the committees? Seeing no one, I have a question for those members who are deaf and hard of hearing. For Joe and Jim and Sharon, for the U3A specifically, and again, you don't have to, I'm not putting any pressure there. I'm just wondering what, I'm trying to think about how to state that. How would you rate, or what degree do you think that you are satisfied with the services that are provided for the deaf and hard of hearing, specifically in the community? And not specifically from the Deaf Center, not necessarily saying Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, but in general, what kind of accessibility do you have? Like at the airport, do you have captions? At bars, at pizza parlors, are there TVs, the captions on there? Do you feel like you have access to emergency announcements, public service announcements, or things that are working? I'm just wondering in general what your experience is as having access in the community. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. I'm a Google Meet fan. So that's why it's taken probably Sharon and Jim and I a little bit of adjustment. There's a lot of parallels, but there's some other crazy things going on that throw us a curve a little bit, so to speak. But what I've noticed is, and this may be in the folks that really have a pronounced hearing disability, or they're deaf, that captioning is an issue. And it just kind of depends on the technology. There is technology out there that can get captioning in real time, but there's there's other forms of captioning that cannot get it in real time, and it's basically worthless because it's too far apart from the person speaking to the captioning. And that doesn't take very much. That's almost instantaneous, that it has to be. And so that's one thing. Short of that, I think there's a wonderful program from the Sanderson Center on the classes they have to offer. Outreach could be something new to us. You know, where do we go from here? So you're asking us, and we're kind of asking you at the same time. So that may be something that we could work on together. I would really enjoy that. There's a lot of outreach, I think personally, that could be done to help people understand their hearing loss. It's just not, especially with elderly folks. They're not going to be in tune with technology, so they're going to struggle right from the get-go. And then there's some of us that are halfway between, like myself. But I see that a lot, that there's things that can be done out there. I don't know if I'm talking too ambiguously, or if that's something you're looking for, or kind of help me out there.
No, Joe, that's a great comment. That helps a lot. Eric, go ahead.
I just want to say, Joe, thanks for bringing that up. One of the key tasks of the new hard of hearing supervisor is going to be to ensure that we have active outreach with the 12 different aging service centers that are across the state. I believe there's 12 centers or regions, but there's actually probably around 20 different aging service community centers, and we haven't got out to all of them, and we don't have the active relationship we need. I think we can really expand our services by becoming a close partner and a frequent participant in their activities. And the new hard of hearing new hard of hearing services supervisor, that's going to be one of their very first tasks, is to do outreach and then to manage their team to get out and to establish permanent, ongoing, active relationships with that whole community. Then the other side of that, of course, is going to be schools, because we have a huge population of young children who have been mainstreamed but are also neglected because of that. And we need to get out to all of the schools, working with the different, probably the different directors who know who they are, because they're not identified through our 504 programs. They're not necessarily identified by any coding in our system. So we actually have to physically go out and meet the teachers and have discussions. And that's going to be a really big initiative for the hard of hearing supervisor. I really think that's going to be an area where we expand services a lot over the next year.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad that you brought that up. I did have a thought come up as you were discussing, but Jim had a comment as well. Go ahead, Jim.
I can get that to work there. First of all, one of the things I wanted to say, and agree with Joe, that the people who, through the Sanderson Center, have been teaching the classes are beyond wonderful. It's been life-changing in the classes that I've been through, and I can't rave about them high enough. Part of the question that was asked also was about our challenges in the community that we're going through. One of the ones that I have is with, because I am hearing somewhat, but it's going fast. I do hear, and I have hearing aids, but medical appointments. Some of mine is through the VA, but some of it's through Intermountain. Depending upon which doctor you happen to be, I will use Otter so that I can kind of bring my own closed caption with me. I've had one physician who loved it so much, he said, let me show this, let me get the information so I can share it with my other patients. One of the other doctors said, "Turn that off. You're not allowed to record me." And I tried to explain to him what it was, but he was very mad that I even had the system on. I said, "That's how I understand what you're talking about." He was not happy with that. So they need to understand or have a policy that when you do need something like that, even though I explained to him that after that session, and I showed him where I hit delete and erased everything, I needed that to be able to understand him. And my third thing and last thing, for those of us who are new on the committee here and participating, we use a lot of acronyms. And for those of us who are new, it might as well be in code. If there was an acronym list that showed what some of these terms mean, it would make it a whole lot more usable for us. So even like when we were reading the minutes, I was looking through there and thinking, what does this mean? What do these initials stand for? But I would only need it once so that I could then have a copy here, like a cheat sheet, and say, okay, that's what they're talking about. So that would be helpful for us news. And that's all I say. Thank you for what you do.
Great, thank you, Jim. I appreciate your request, and definitely will. It would be helpful. Sometimes we just don't think, we get used to that until somebody brings it up. So as we get going, so I'm trying to think about what we said before at the beginning. So in August, back in August, I think we'll make sure that the hard of hearing community does have access and wants access as well. And as you mentioned, definitely some of those community issues, and sometimes too. Hard of hearing community does have those same challenges as the deaf community does as well. So we share these same issues. So thank you, Jim and Joe and Eric as well. I wanted to mention, before we have the round table, I did want to mention something, but I see somebody raising their hand. A lot of people don't realize that when they see subtitles, and then they see subtitles in English, and then sometimes they see English SDH. Some people don't realize the difference. For regular subtitles, they don't caption like the sound. So for example, if there was a phone ringing in the background, or a video or things like that, or a doorbell that rings, or a knock on the door, or whatever it might be, all the ambient noise that's around that's happening in that's under the subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing, SDH. So it tells you what's happening, any auditory noise, etc., what's happening. So people don't realize the difference between just subtitles and subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing. So I think somebody else had a comment. Go ahead, whoever had their comment. Katie, did you have a comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I saw Sharon has one. Hi. So does Sharon want to go first? Or do you want me just to go since I'm on?
I can do if that's okay. Yeah. I just wanted to agree with what Jim and Joe had said about being out in the world and not having captioning. They don't have caption anywhere. And if you don't understand what someone is saying, how they look at you very funny. And I think that is just, so I use my phone and I type on it so that they can understand what I'm trying to tell them. But then they get people get very irritated because they want me to hurry in typing it on my phone. And it just doesn't work that way sometimes. But I think that the Sanderson Center and the teachers are doing a very good job, an excellent job in training us and teaching us what we need to be aware of and what we can see around us. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that. Katie, go ahead.
Okay. I didn't want to speak over Sharon. I know she was waiting. So I just had a few things, and please forgive me if I jumble my words. Sometimes my thought processes don't always flow correctly. But first, I wanted to talk about, while we're thinking about the needs of the hard of hearing community, that we also remember like children and youth in the hard of hearing section. I know families sometimes feel like they're not welcome or can be a part of DSDHH because they don't know sign language. And but they, you know, those kids and those families need supports just as much as families with children who are profoundly deaf and using sign language, but just in a different way. And so I just didn't want to kind of keep going without highlighting the need for support for them and that little community as well. Like especially kids with like unilateral loss or atresia, things like that, that kind of have not been included, probably not because it's an intentional exclusion. They just aren't aware that the services are here. So I would like to see how we can be more inclusive of that community and kind of reach out to them more. And in addition, I was really excited, Eric, about your information about the youth activities and things. Pickleball is my new favorite thing. I'm totally addicted. I want to play all the time. It's very fun. Our daughter loves it, so I'm excited about that. But I did want to just ask about how it's being broadcast activities to the public schools, so that like the UAD, the youth UAD has the chapter like at USDB, but it's not very inclusionary for kids who are not at USDB. And so like my daughter who's not there can't participate because she's not at USDB. And so I just am mindful that most of our deaf or hard of hearing students are not at USDB. And so how can we make sure that they're included and that they're getting served and getting the same supports as our USDB students are? So that was just my 2 cents.
Katie, that's a great question. And just so you know, the idea for the pickleball tournament and the game night was brought to me after the last UAD meeting by a young girl from one of the public schools who came up and asked, like, if we could do that, or if we used to do it, if we could do it again, because she signs but is in public school, but many of her friends are at USDB over at JMS, and so they want a reason and a place to get together and be social. So right now I can use guidance on how to best communicate that to the public schools. I know Michelle Tanner is willing to help us in every way she can, but I think there's probably ways I haven't thought of to do the outreach. So I'm very open to lots of help there.
This is wonderful. Great. So Katie, thank you for bringing that up about our youth. We definitely can't forget them. We want to make sure that they're involved. Thank you all for your comments and your participation. I think that wraps up our discussion, and I would like to now open it up for any roundtable announcements that you might have or any other comments. I will just let you pop up. Whoever pops up first will get a comment, or then we can just raise hands, or first, second, third. So I'll just keep an eye on the chat here or the raising of hands. So who has a comment? Kim, you popped up, and then we'll go from Kim, and then we'll go to Joe.
All right. So this is Kim Lucas. I'm the president for the Utah Association of the Deaf. And we are busy getting ready for our UAD conference. We're going to have 3 special speakers coming. And the first speaker is Alex Alabution. I'm sorry, I mispronounced it inappropriately, but he is, oh, excuse me. Sorry, Kim was just wondering what the interpreter is doing. The individual that's in charge of Daily Moth, and we're also having Melissa Yingst And she is from Melmyra. It's a Latina woman is going to be coming and presenting. And we'll also be having Stephanie Mathis. And you, of course, know her. She's one of our own and a previous director of Sago Lilly Center for the Abused Deaf, and she'll be coming from Washington to present at our conference. So we'll be having 3 great speakers, and we'll be doing some advertising coming up. We also have some presenters as well. We'll have Jared Albest presenting at the conference, and he'll be talking about the legal system, the good, the bad, and in between. We'll also be having an educational presentation from
Rachel Benedict.
Rachel Benedict, thank you.
Principal at JMS.
And she'll be presenting about the educational system. Another presenter that we'll have is going to be talking about mental health in the community. Dr. Michael Ballard. Let's see, and the last presenter will be Jody Kinner. And she'll be discussing the history, some different historical aspects. So we'll have 3 keynotes plus 4 additional speakers. So I really encourage you to attend. It's only $50 to attend up till October 1st, and it will go up in price at that time. So take advantage of the early bird pricing.
And Katie has a comment in the chat. When is the conference?
So it's October 29th through the 30th. So the last weekend of the month of October is when that's taking place. Any other questions about that? Anyone else? Okay, someone's typing. Okay, Cody. Thank you, Cody. Thank you for sharing more information. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Kim. Next, did we have somebody else who had a comment? Oh, Joe, I think you had a comment. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, for our last speaker, it would probably be helpful if you're trying to get folks interested in this to send out an agenda. If you notice, we sit here and we listen to you and you cover like a whole bunch of bullets. And so just a thought there. But I did here's a suggestion for the Hard of Hearing group. And as new members, Sharon and Jim and I thought it would be helpful for us to maybe stop by in person at the Sanderson Center and meet some of the folks on this convoluted flow chart that you guys have.
And Eric says, come on over, come on over.
And well, maybe we can get our arms around your expectations of us. And like the committees you talk about and outreach for hard of hearing and those sorts of things. I think the 3 of us are sitting here going, well, we've been to a couple of meetings. And they talk about bylaws and this, that, and the other thing. And we'd really like to help out, but if we can get together, understand a little bit about each other, and maybe that would foster some direction on where we want to go from here. Thank you.
Thanks. This is Martin. Thank you, Joe. And Eric, maybe we can work something out as well to do an in-person meeting. I know that with COVID, we normally do in-person meetings. So with the Delta variant and everything going on, we're just trying to be safe. Again, the numbers keep going up here in Utah, so it's just unfortunate we can't gather more in person.
No, I forgot about that. I'm sorry. COVID is the trump card. So maybe there would be another way to have another little gathering just on the computer.
The other thing is, members are of the committee or the community are always welcome to come in. And if you just wanted to come, 2 or 3 of you, I mean, I would love it if Martin could be there with me, mostly because, I rely on Martin for a lot now. But yeah, if you wanted to come in and meet the staff, literally any day that you could schedule that, I would be more than happy. And I think 3 or 4 of us together, I have clear face shields if you want to wear it. You're welcome to wear masks. We can walk around, tour during the day, meet the staff. I can explain the org chart and show you where our roadmap is, and we can take a little more time and not feel all the constraints. And I will do that with any member of the community or this committee that wants to do that for any reason. But specifically, since you asked, Joe, you and Jim, and anyone else that wants to come in, I will make time.
Thank you, Eric, for that. And I'm happy to join when you guys discuss and are happy to meet. So let me know. And the more the merrier too. So I'd be happy to meet with that. We can definitely work out a schedule. My schedule is pretty flexible, so I can come and join you at any time. Let me know. Thank you, Joe. Anyone else? Other comments, announcements? Go ahead, Katie.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I just didn't want to talk over anyone. So just a few events that we're hosting: the Utah Parent Center and the EDDI program coming up. We have we call a webineer. So it's basically a webinar. We usually host it on our Facebook page, but we're going to have our teacher of the deaf that's going to be joining us, talking all about accommodations in the school system and how to do that. That is on the 27th of September. And then we have a big project coming up. It's called the CARE Project. And that is for families of children who are deaf or hard of hearing of any diagnosis or communication modality. It's completely free. All of our events are free. Sorry, I have a whiny baby. I apologize. Anyways, that is November 5th and 6th. It's a 2-day event, and we are going to be talking about the emotional journey through diagnosis. That is just open for families. And then on Saturday, professionals or members of the deaf and hard of hearing community are also welcome to participate. And we're going to be talking about resources here in Utah. We're going to have a deaf and hard of hearing young adult panel. Just some other fun things that are meant to kind of encourage families and kind of build a community here a little bit stronger of families. So those are some things to watch out for. Oh, one other one. We have a woman, her name is Jennifer Cranston, and she teaches about visual phonics and cute speech and how you can utilize that to improve reading comprehension for children who are deaf or hard of hearing. So we are bringing her in October as well to talk about that. So those are coming up for our program. Sorry.
Thank you, Katie. No problem. Other announcements or comments? This has been a great meeting tonight. Thank you.
I'm my hand raised.
Go ahead.
Ooh.
McLean?
Yeah. Oh, hello. My mic. Oh, wow. I didn't realize my mic was on the entire time. Sorry. Hope you all are well. Nice to see y'all again. Been busy with a lot of things, so it's great to see some familiar faces. I just wanted to put out some updates on some things I'm working on, so that I can keep you guys in the loop of everything I'm doing. So I have a couple things I'm doing with Phonet and Copior, the company, in regards to a couple products that they're putting out there in the community. And so people who have questions or things that they would like to ask those companies specifically, I always like to make sure that people know they can ask specific questions for companies that handle those things. And then my work with the Megaplex Theaters, because I work with a Larry H. Miller company. Any things that you guys have been experiencing that they're lacking in terms of the theater accessibility, whether it be deaf or hard of hearing or the deaf and blind, they're always open to hearing more of what they can do. I know they've been making a lot of changes, making it more friendly to our community. So they encourage any feedback that we can provide them with that to them directly. And then lastly, I have a bunch of shows that I'll eventually be doing for the holidays coming up. So that's I'll be doing a bunch more shows for the hard of hearing in the deaf community. So as always, those will always be accessible since I'm the one overseeing all that. But I just wanted to make sure if there's anything I can do to help with that, just let me know. But yeah, I just wanted to give some updates, and it's always nice to see all of you. So.
Thank you so much, McLean. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Of course.
John, I see you had your hand up as well. Go ahead.
Hi, I do have a question, and maybe Kim can answer it. And it's related to the emotional health and mental health and the deaf and hard of hearing community. And I'm just wondering if there's an organization that partners with therapists or uses VRI to provide services. Just one moment. Do you want to make sure that the therapy is accessible to deaf and hard of hearing clients? Go ahead, Michelle.
Whether in-state or out-of-state, wondering if they do VRI throughout the country, if there's other comments is there as well. And Kim, do you have a response to John's question? And Katie, excuse me, Katie, did you have a comment, a question, an answer to John's question at all?
Could he repeat the question again? I missed it. I'm sorry.
John, do you want to repeat your question? John, can you please repeat your question again? Can you guys see and hear me okay now? Great. So my question again is related with mental health, and this question is for Katie. I'm just wondering if you know of any services, therapy, counseling, specifically for deaf and hard of hearing individuals that they use either video phone or video remote technology that they can meet with their clients. I'm just wondering if your organization has any resources for that. If they do both in-state or out-of-state, do you have resources that they can meet with clients? I know that, for example, like maybe one therapist's name is Jamie Wilson. He's based in the state of Washington, in Tacoma area. And I know that he does VRI type services, so he meets with clients via video. I'm just wondering if you know, if your organization has a list and information and resources for people who do a person who's signing, or they are deaf or hard of hearing, just a list of resources for counseling that is accessible to deaf and hard of hearing clients for the state and around the country.
Yeah, that's a great question, John. We don't currently have a list of therapists, mental health therapists, but that's really great for us to think about adding to the list of resources to share The only one I'm currently aware of that does anything like that is Seagull Lily. So if you know of other ones, I would love for you to send them to me so I can add them and create a list that I can share with families.
Thank you, Katie, for that comment. Let me see if anybody else has any other comments. We are at 6:09 p.m. So if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Kim Lucas moves to adjourn the meeting.
Any objection? Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you next month. And Eric and I will work together to get an agenda and get that alphabet soup translated for you as well. So get those acronyms to you with that list. So I've definitely learned a few things tonight, and we will definitely do better next time with those acronyms. Thank you again, everyone, and we'll be in touch. Bye. Thanks, everyone.